Hello, Wear Many Hats listeners. It's your host, Mark Robinson here, with another fantastic episode of Wear Many Hats. I'm absolutely thrilled today to be joined by the Chief Executive Officer of Macro, Ross Abbate. Hello, Ross. How are you doing?
Not bad. Thank you for having me.
That's all right. Having a good day?
Not too bad.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say good day, mate. You know, I'm gonna have to.
You can say good day.
How's tricks?
It's good. I mean, it's exciting times for us at the moment. You know, we're in the process of coming out of the Mace Group. So We're going through a transition process as part of the MBO.
Yep.
And setting up our own, standing on our own two feet.
Yep.
But it's exciting because we're starting to develop where we want to go going forward and how we're going to develop going forward and what the business we want to be. Yeah. So the conversations are, it's positive stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because that affiliation's been there a long time, hasn't it? So
well, we May started us, 21 years ago. Yeah. As the fourth engine within their business, to do the FM, but they can see that their focus is in their construction business and the project management business. But they've been really supportive, great business.
Brilliant, good stuff. So, tell you what, nice easy question to begin with. Tell us a little bit about your career and your journey into FM.
Journey into it wasn't planned, as most people will say at my age who don't go into FM. I guess I can say I got into FM when I moved over to the UK in '96. Right. So I come out of uni, did electrical engineering, got working for a security company. It wasn't a security company. They security design, access control systems, alarm
CCTV,
alarm. We did all of that. So I'd worked doing that in Sydney. So when I came out here, job in the Evening Standard for an organisation, they needed someone to install some security systems. Yep. So I went and applied for the job. The company was a J&D organisation. They were a soft services, FM services provider, so they did cleaning. Right, okay. Just secured a major contract with New Zealand International for security. Yep. And they had talked about installing this security system. Yeah. I came in. We probably changed the brief a little bit, took it somewhere else. We installed a system. Took us probably about 6 months. I still remember it's probably Christmas Eve. I'm in Glasgow in the cold trying to install this system, and I'm going, why have I moved from Sydney to here on Christmas Eve?
I think that's a question most Australians ask themselves.
Well, when you had the roller shutter up and you're trying to get this panel to work, and you're trying to do this, you're thinking, oh my goodness, why have I done this for? Yeah. Anyway, I've done it. The system was successful. It all worked. Yeah. And I thought that'd be it. I'll go and look for my continue working in other roles in engineering. Yeah, of course. The owner of the business at the time came to me and said, look, got an opportunity here. You've got some good skill set. I think they're transferable. Yeah. Come and run this site. So I was put on to BP Sunbury, which is, and at the time we were delivering cleaning. There were about 50 part-time cleaners, and between mailroom, landscaping, fabric maintenance, there's probably another 20, 30 people, stalls, all of that. We were doing all of that.
So that's quite a big jump, obviously, from being an engineer.
Yeah. Managing one or two people to suddenly manage this. Yeah, no, absolutely. Wow. It was a nightmare. And I'll be honest, I found it really tough. I found it tough for 6 to 12 months. Really tough.
Can I ask how old you were then, Ross?
Probably about 26.
So still a young man, really?
Yeah, 26, 27. 26, 27. Yeah. So it was really tough. And I can't remember the year. No, it must be. It must have been 97. Yeah. So I would have been, sorry, I tell a lie, I would have been 28 because it had happened on my birthday.
Still young, though.
Yeah.
Still very young to be taking on that amount of responsibility.
Just trying to think, 96. No, it would have been 27 because it happened in 90. Yeah. So anyway, I did that. And it was tough. And to be fair, Graham, who was the owner, supported me. There were a couple of other people that supported me. And boy, I'd need to be talked off the ledge a few times. Really? Because what you don't realise is, and I learned really quickly, is that actually from my perspective, managing and cleaning it's about the people. Yes. And everyone had their own personal issues. Right. Couldn't afford a fare to get to work. Yeah. Couldn't afford money to pay for electricity. Yeah. Couldn't, had domestic problems or whatever. It became, I've got to say, I felt like an agony aunt most of the time. Right. And you started to deal with that. But it all revolved around, if you look at Maslow's principles, it's all about, you need security and all that. Yeah. And it's about getting that. So the first thing we worked about is how can you make sure you get paid and you get paid a decent whack.
And on time.
Doing it on time and all that. Yeah. So we paid on time and all that. Yeah. The thing that actually really surprised me. So I'm being an engineer. You're very methodical, but you also follow processes and procedures, and looked at the contract.
There's a way for things to be done.
There's a way that things to be done, and for me is how can I get money for them without because I've never been one for taking money out of clients. It is about you deliver a good job, you get paid appropriately. But this contract was quite innovative for the time in that it actually had a performance measurement contract in there. Right. So for overperforming.
Right, okay.
And when I walked in, the KPIs were about 65, 70, don't quote me on the numbers, but that was something like that.
Yeah.
And there was a performance measurement that if you can get to 10% better by the end of the year, there's an incentive being paid.
Right.
But the incentive wasn't to the organisation, it was to the individuals.
Oh, really?
Which was equivalent to probably a month's salary for everyone.
Really?
So it was quite a really good
quite chunky
incentive. It was quite chunky. The company actually got a little bit of money.
Yeah.
The individuals got a lot of money.
Right.
And they had spent all their time walking around not doing work saying, I'll do it in overtime, I'll do it on overtime.
Yeah.
Now, the problem was client wasn't paying for overtime.
No.
We were paying for overtime.
Yeah.
And I basically stopped overtime. So, of course, that became a big moan.
Because you had to manage the P&L.
We were paying the overtime, and all these people were doing overtime on a Saturday because they push everything to a Saturday saying it couldn't be done. I said, no, there's no more overtime unless client told me it's got to be done by overtime because there's a safety issue and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the flip side, guys, you see this number here, 65. If you get it to 75, you'll get a month's salary at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Broadly speaking.
Yeah.
You should see the change around in that business just by telling them that.
Really?
All of them suddenly they're, and you can see the KPIs going up gradually. So that for me is the thing I remember most about that is there's always one or two things that change a contract, and that for me changed the contract for them. Do you know what I mean?
What's quite interesting there, I think, as well, is that you've gone in and probably because of your engineering background and being very process orientated, one of the first things you did was read the contract.
I didn't read to be fair, I didn't read it. The client told me.
Oh, right. Okay.
The client said, and they didn't say it that way. They kind of say, because everyone, it was one of those contracts which was, it wasn't going that well.
Yeah.
And so everyone's telling you everything. And I've got to say, there's a lady called Anne Lennox-Martin who's my contract manager for JCI. Right. And she was brilliant. And I'm still friends with her now, right? Right. And she was almost to say, look, do you know that there's this here? And do you know there's that there? I didn't have time. My head was so, all over the place.
Spinning with
everything's problems. Yeah. I didn't have time to do that. But you do make time. But there were a couple of things, a couple of nuggets that, she helped out. And then that kind of helped. That's
fantastic, though. That you were able to turn it around by motivating them.
Yeah, but I think that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's you look at. I mean, we were talking about football earlier, not here, but we were talking about football earlier. It is all about what's a good manager is about man management or person management. And it's actually to person manage, and I'm not good at it. I'm not the best at it, but I do know that it's about you've got to understand your people and what they need and
empathy,
what
isn't it?
It's the empathy in that. Yes, exactly right.
Really understanding what drives these people and what makes things important.
And for me, it was interesting because in this contract, like I said, it was a bit of an agony out. Sometimes I need £5 to get my meter working and all that. And someone said to me, "Don't ever lend them money," but actually, I did. Yeah, and I was on. I reckon I was on £19,000.
Right.
So, and I'm new to this country.
Yeah.
My girlfriend, who's my wife now, she is probably on £13,000.
Yeah.
We were looking to buy a place. It's not as if we had money to burn or anything. We were struggling.
Yeah. Am I right in saying that's just about? I think the minimum wage came in the year after, didn't it?
Something like that. Yeah.
97, 98 wasn't it? I think.
So I was above minimum wage, but I wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't. But I'd give £5 here, 20 quid there. Yeah. But there was a trust in there, and I think that also helped build trust with them because actually it means I trusted them.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So that's that. And then off the back of that, the way, as you would know, a lot of cleaning contracts or contracts work, you got an anchor client like that.
Yeah,
and then you got a little satellite clients that you service off the back of that.
Of course.
Well, unfortunately, my ones. I had some nice ones like the Lensbury Club, which was quite nice.
Right.
But the one that really was a nightmare was Unigate Dairies.
Really?
And Unigate Dairies, we used to wash the milk bottles at night.
Right.
At 8 o'clock shift to 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
The bottles would come back. You'd have to put them through the machine, wash them. Now, if I can explain that this is not outdoors, but the doors are open. In the middle of winter, water flying everywhere. And you had to get 6 people there every night to do this. It needed a minimum 4 people, but 6 people.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, to get people to turn up, people come and do one shift and
that was it.
They'd go.
Yeah.
And it was 6 nights a week. The only night they didn't work was Saturday night.
Right.
So every night at 6:30 or 7 o'clock, probably about 8 o'clock actually, until it opens, started at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Your people haven't turned up. Find me some people. So every night was that nightmare of trying to find people, find people.
They could go there, yeah.
And I was fortunate that I could get some people shipped over from another contract for East London, totally different, but it wasn't easy and they didn't want to do it. But so every night. And the way I solved that problem was, which I thought was quite innovative at the time. So I had another contract which was it's called Action Computers, and we were doing warehouse picking and packing.
Right, yeah.
Okay, but you needed to be able to, basically walking around all day, trolley, order comes in, picking a hard disk, whatever it was, and do that.
I've done that in a Tesco distribution center.
Have you?
Yeah.
So it was a manual process, but we did that, right? So here is, what I ended up doing, the couple of things I did was I changed the roster system.
Right.
So what happened was at Unigate Dairy, if you followed the roster system, every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you'd get 4 or 5 days in a row off.
Oh, really?
So you can kind of recharge your batteries and stuff like that. I can't remember what the system was, but it was like that. So I made it. So I had 6 people rotating or 8 people.
Just the frostbite off your fingers.
Yeah, exactly right. So that helped a little bit to retain some people.
Yeah.
But then I said, I tell you what, if you do this job for me for 3 months, I'll move you to this day job over here, which is picking and packing. And that became a motivation in itself too. Do you know what I mean? So you kind of started to
go in there, prove yourself.
Yeah,
and we'll give you a decent
if you're
job.
reliable doing that every night, I know I can trust you, and I can put you in this place where you've got computer parts, and I know I can trust you. Right. And it was interesting that there was I still remember this lady. I can't remember her name. And this role involved picking up crates of bottles, putting them in machines, washing them, all of that. It is a heavy, labour-intensive job. Yeah. And when you're desperate, I hired anyone. I'd hired anyone. I hired this.
Just
lady.
get the bodies in sometimes.
Yeah, it was. It was a body because it was a body shop because you needed people at certain parts of the plant to make sure things got through. But you needed sometimes to pick up stuff. Yeah. And I'll never forget her. I can't remember her name. I wish I did. I hired this lady. She was really small, slim, glasses. If you looked at, when you watch Rocky, his wife.
Oh, like Adrian.
Yeah, like Adrian. Really, she was like that.
Really petite.
Very petite,
Yeah.
And she said, I want a job. So I gave her a job. Yeah. And the client rings me up. She goes, she can't do the job. My goodness, she did the job. Really? She turned up every day. She did everything. And she ended up becoming a picker and packer and went off that way. Do you know what I mean? But it's amazing the people you meet.
I think so. That's why I like my job. Just the people I meet,
the diversity of people you meet.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. And because everybody's got their own story, they've all come from a different direction. I just like listening to it.
And the truth is, you only learn that much. Well, you can't see it on a podcast, but you only learn if you've got a big circle. If you've got you only learn a little bit of it.
Yeah, a little bit of everybody. Yeah, what they're prepared to share.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair. Okay, so really interesting that you've done that sort of direct.
So that's how I got into it. So I did that. And then it's interesting because I decided to move back to Australia. Yeah. Well, we decided because I want to go back for the Olympics and it's warmer out there. Yeah. So I went back to Australia and I thought, I'm going back into engineering. I'm getting out of FM. Yeah. I don't want to do this. And fortunately, a guy called Chris Hunt, who had just gone out there for Johnson Controls, was out there to start up the business. And my CV landed out from Hayes. Yeah. I sent it to Hayes for an engineering job. Yeah. A lady who was an English lady who had just gone out taking CVs, gave it to Chris Hunt, who was English also. Yeah. And he looked at it and he got me in for an interview. Mm. And he did his own, because he could check, because we were supplied to Johnson Controls. Yeah. He could check. And he checked me up and he gave me a job and I started working with him. So I was back in FM for Johnson Controls out there. Yeah. And then the career just went from there.
Fantastic. And obviously you've been at Macro for a significant period of time
16
now.
Years. So I did Johnson Controls in Australia for 2-3 years. Chris Hunt then went to a company called Resolve FM, which is got bought by Tyco.
I know Resolve, yeah.
It was Resolve FM. Yeah. So I went and worked for him as sales. Then my missus wanted to come back here, so we moved out here. So I got a job back to JCI for a year. Right. And then off the back of that, you're just a number in JCI and I wanted something more. Yeah. So I ended up, especially when I'd been at Resolve where I I ended up being general manager by the time I finished assistant.
Right, okay.
Temporary interim general manager. I wanted to do, so I went into JCI doing solutions, and then I started talking to Mace, which is Mace Macro, a guy called Bill Heath. He got me on board there, and then I've just worked my way through there.
Yeah, because it's quite interesting. You've done various roles, haven't you? Because obviously you've done the operational management piece, and you've also done the sales piece.
Yeah.
From an FM perspective, how would you view those two jobs in terms of their differences, Ross? Because you don't get many people that have done both.
I think they're both the same.
All right, okay.
And I think it all comes down to listening to what your client wants.
I agree with that.
So they're the same from the front end. So both roles involve listening to a client and giving them what they want, not what you want to give them.
Yep.
The back ends are different. So one is about managing people to deliver what the client's wanting and motivating that. And the other bit is about putting it in a document and putting in a solution that articulates what a client wants. So the two back ends are different, but the front end is the same. It always comes down to what does a client want and give them what they want.
Yeah.
And if you can't do it, tell them you can't do it.
Yeah, tell them you can't do it. I love how you describe that, actually. I think that's a great way to look at it, to be fair. Okay, so obviously, CEO now of Macro, the business is changing quite significantly. I always like to ask this question, so if you were to walk into that first cleaning job that you had all those years ago, with the 30 years of knowledge that you have now, how would you approach that job now?
I'd walk back out the door.
No, I wouldn't accept it. What does the first week look like, I suppose, with the knowledge you have now?
I think, like I said, when I walked into that role, I had no idea I'd never managed people. So if you've got that experience, the first thing you probably do is sit down and get to know your people more. Yeah. You know what I mean? You make up your own view, whereas I walked in there with them telling me that person this, that person that person that. Whereas now I think you start to realise actually you've got to make up your own judgment. You need to get underneath it to understand it yourself. Yeah. And you can't expect to, in a week or two or three, to be on top of it. Yeah, actually give yourself time to learn it, understand it and all that. Yeah. But the same principles is, I think for me, is listen. Yeah. We're all given 2 ears and 1 mouth. Yeah. So you use the 2 ears and speak 1 mouth. I'm not very good at that, I'll tell you that. Yeah. When I was in year 12, in fact, younger than that, when I was year 9, for instance, I had a teacher who came to me and said, Ross, you know what your problem is? It goes through into your ear, bypasses your brain and goes straight to your mouth. And he's right. It's always been like that.
I think a teacher said a very similar thing to me.
I had another teacher. I'll tell you the other one. The one I'll never forget is in year 12. So in Australia, you've got a thing called the HSC, High School Certificate. Yeah. Which is similar to your A-levels. Yeah. So 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks before we're doing the HSC, the teacher stood me up in front of the whole room. And he said, Ross, you're not going to amount to anything. No. You're a disruptor, you're a clown, you joke around, you're never going to do anything, you never achieve anything. And I'll never forget that. I wish I could see him now. Yeah. He was right. I still haven't achieved anything.
I think you've done all right, Ross, to be fair. Okay, well, that's really interesting. So
I'd bring back is a bit about the listening. It's a people. Our industry is about people.
Agreed.
And understanding people.
Yeah. So, because obviously your role now is an international role, really, rather than just a national role. That must give you some really cool insights in terms of things that you may see in other countries that you.
Same principle applies. Yeah. I'm telling you. So when I came back here when did I come back again? 2006. Yeah. So I did a job with JCI. I was a solutions development manager. That's what I was. And JCI were rebidding a job for Novartis in Basel. So they said, Ross, don't know what it is, but we just can't work with the local team. Every time someone goes down there, they don't listen, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. They go, can you go down and spend time there? So I probably spent 6 months going backwards and forwards. Right. And for the first month, all I did was listen. Now, they did a lot of German speaking and stuff like that, and I don't speak German. And they spoke English and all that. But what I did was I did practice and listen where I could. Yeah. You pick up body language, you pick up all of that type of stuff. And I think about a month in, I started to say, well, what about if you did this? And they listened because actually I didn't come in. Traditionally what happens is, and I've seen it all over the world, even when I was in Australia, the Americans will come in, no disrespect to Americans, but, big corporates will come in. Head office comes in and goes, you need to do this, 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 and that.
Yeah.
But they don't actually understand what's happening on the ground and why you can't do some of that.
Yeah.
It might be better if you come in and go, I'll listen to what your issues are. Get your, what do they say, walk in your shoes, understand it, and then probably go, have you thought of this or have you thought of that, instead of telling people what to do.
Yeah.
And I think that happens all over the world.
Really?
I think you'll gain a lot more respect by going in listening instead of telling.
Right. Okay.
Well, it's not rocket science, is it really?
No, I agree.
If I came into you and told you you're doing this is how you should do your podcast, you'd probably go, what do you know? I've been doing hundreds of them.
But I still don't know what I'm doing, Ross. I just talk.
But the point I'm trying to make is you wouldn't.
Yeah,
you go, I know what I'm doing, and you might say, but if you did this slightly differently, it might improve. And you go, I might take that on board because it's not confrontational. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just going, this is an idea.
Here's an idea, yeah. Well, ideas are good, aren't they? And I think any kind of feedback is good, really. It just depends how you deliver.
It's got to be constructive.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. The sandwich technique.
Yeah.
I remember the old sandwich technique from the 90s, to be fair, whenever I manage people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it would work now, actually.
I think it does. You start with the positive.
Yeah.
Then the meat in the sandwich, which is where you're getting the telling off, and then you finish with a positive at the end.
Positive again, yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong, but it's interesting because, look, I get picked up on my behaviour, but I am very limited in my attention span to get things done, move. I get things done. Yeah. Right? That's my thing. And so sometimes I could be 3 conversations ahead.
Yes.
Thinking what's happening, and someone's telling me, and I'll go, okay, that's fine. Or, and I get picked up for my behaviour, for tone and stuff like that. And you've got to take that on the chin because everyone thinks differently and works differently.
Well, we all interpret information differently as well, don't we? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. What one person would view as confrontational, the other person might view it as, I'm not that bothered.
Yeah. So for me, I might have a confrontation with someone, but 2 minutes later, I've moved on. I don't. Whereas they might take it and go, oh my God, my CEO's just told me off. And
they've taken.
Did I really?
Yeah,
I just told you what I thought. I didn't tell you off. But it does come across, and you've got to be mindful of that.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So that introspective look at yourself in terms of
I'm far from perfect, and I'm probably I shouldn't say it, but I'm probably my biggest critic in some of that, to look at internalise your own behaviour and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's brilliant. Okay, so if we kind of focus on something slightly different now. So, and to be fair, you're probably a great person to ask this question to. In terms of, a young person that was looking to start out their career in facilities management, because that's what we're trying to achieve here, give them some guidance and give them a route into the market. What type of qualities would you be looking for in a young person if you wanted to, bring them into macro as a graduate, apprentice, so start them on that pathway?
So for me, it's about someone's got a can-do attitude.
So the attitude is important.
It's the attitude. It's a mentality. So if I came to you with a problem and your first answer is no, or I can't do it, that's not the right attitude. No. For me, the attitude is, okay, leave it with me. Let's see how I can find the solution.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. And I don't expect you to figure it out. So the other thing is the ability to use your network, or create a network. So am I the smartest person? No. But I probably know someone who could solve that problem for you.
Yeah, that's my view as well.
Yeah? Do you know what I mean? It's about the network, isn't it? It's about who do you know? Yeah. I know a person who can.
I know a guy. I know someone that's good at that.
Yeah, I know someone who could do that. And you just network with them on.
Right.
You move out, you let them solve the problem, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But they'll both remember that you connected them, and then you build your own network on, and you start to build like that.
Yeah.
But for me, the first important thing is about this. They've got to have a bit of drive to get things done, to do stuff. And that's what I look into people.
Right. Okay. That's fantastic. So, did you take on graduates and things like that?
We do.
You do. Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you find that in terms of that? How that integrates into your business? Has it been a success?
So it's interesting. So I think we were very successful quite a few years ago, and then COVID's kind of made it harder.
Right.
And we had a meeting today about how do we change that around to get back to where we were.
Right.
So the way we used to recruit. They'd come in and they'll do a program where they'd go around through all the different functions. Yeah. And if we were lucky, we were doing a mobilisation, they'd work on a mobilisation. So they got all the facets.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then once they've gone through all the central functions like finance, HR, supply chain, all of those functions, then you go and they've done mobilisation, so they've got a good idea. You'd put them in an operational role and go, okay, you can go and now run a role under supervision and do that, and then slowly go through that. In addition to that, they went through a graduate program which is run by Mace. Now we don't have that anymore, so we've got to redevelop that.
Redo your own,
redo that. But we had our own internal one. Okay, so we did that. What happened during COVID and all that is you didn't get that one-to-one attention because people were remote.
Yeah,
people, it was really difficult to do. And whilst we've kind of done it, it's not to the same order.
Yeah,
so we're reinvigorating it again. As of today, we were talking about what we're doing. So we're about to go and advertise. We're a bit late, but the MBO and all that kind of slowed us down last year. So now it's not too late because there's still, still people looking for roles. So we're going to advertise and go for that. But it doesn't start till September. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever too late to create opportunities for young people, is it?
So we'll be looking, and what we are going to do is we're going to open it up. It's not just in the UK. We will open it up around the world.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. So if there's anybody out there that's looking to make a move into FM, feel free to reach out to Macro, who are putting a real avenue in place for you.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
And we also do apprentices.
Yes,
in the UK.
And apprenticeships too. Good stuff. Okay, brilliant. So let's talk on to ESG. We love this question, ESG. So obviously, I actually think as an industry, we're pretty good at this compared to other industries. I think you can always get better, but I think we're pretty good.
What are we good at?
I think we're very good at the environmental piece. I think we're getting better at the social element, but there's still a lot of work to do there. And I think we've always really been very good at the governance element. So the environmental, bit of work to do. Social, quite a bit. Governance, there or thereabouts.
Yeah, governance is purely because we're managing contracts. So you need to have some governance. You tend to be very good at that.
Yeah. But the other two, bit of work. And I think environmental's getting better.
I think environmental we're better because our clients are asking for carbon reduction and looking for reduction in waste, all that side of it.
Yeah.
I personally don't think we're good enough in social value.
No,
I don't think we drive that enough because if we really were, we wouldn't have cleaners on minimum wage.
I agree with that.
Do you get what I mean?
Oh, completely.
So our industry is the one where the social value we need to pick up and do stuff for.
Yeah. Do you think that that's about doing things slightly differently as an industry? I.e., we all try to do things, don't we? I think most organisations in our space. I think it's a really complex thing to do because everybody has different needs. From a social perspective, what might be important to X may not necessarily be important to Y. So what's the best way to create that sort of inclusive environment which deals with
I think it's about asking your teams what they want, what they need. You know what I mean? And actually you can't cater for everyone, but you might be able to do the majority.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we're embarking on that journey. So for us, we're in the process of developing our purpose and our priorities.
Yeah.
And our priorities, one of them is social value.
Yep.
What that is yet, I can't tell you because we're working with our teams to try and develop what is the social value that we want.
I think we're all doing that, Ross. Yeah, it's a tough one. It
is a tough one. But for me, I think there is a big thing that we should be able to give back into society.
Yeah.
If I go back to that contract I talked about where the incentive most of the cleaning staff got instead of, performance contract by including KPIs.
I like that.
That the performance that the team got it. Why can't we be more contracts like that?
Yeah.
Because then that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
If you were to say to your cleaners, you improve KPIs by 10% and you get a month's worth of salary at the end of the year.
Yeah.
It works. So there's that type of stuff that we probably need to be smarter in the way we do our contracts to help our teams.
And also how we communicate that to our clients, I suppose, because invariably they end up paying for it, don't they? So
they do.
How do we?
But I bet you'll find the clients will pay the right amount if they're getting the value out of it.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? If they can see that actually it's not going to bottom line, it's going to people, and it's helping their well-being, and then they're coming into work and they're delivering this, clients I don't know. Did you watch that thing on the post office recently?
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay,
I've obviously been following
the thing that really got me right. These people's lives were ruined. Okay?
Yeah, it was horrible.
These people's lives were ruined, and look, I don't know the detail, but they talked about brand for the post office.
Yeah.
But the thing that really got me was one of the ladies asked, "What's happened to this money?
Yeah.
Where has the money gone? Where has it gone? If we don't have it, and the post office say they don't have it, where has it all gone?"
Yeah.
And the bloke goes, I can't be specific. This is on the show, so I don't know if it's real, but I can't be specific. Yeah. But he goes, I'd imagine that over the years, that money's just gone straight to the bottom line. To say, I've gone and paid my fine of 30,000.
Yeah, gone to jail.
That was never a problem.
Yeah,
just go straight to the bottom line. So these people lost their livelihood, and you know what I mean. And you're thinking that's where it's wrong. Do you know what I mean? But what I was trying to get to is, if a client sees it's going into your teams instead of straight to your bottom line, they're more likely to do it.
Yeah. Do you know what I found quite interesting about that? And it's been a little bit sort of political, which I try not to be on it. But what I find quite interesting about the whole post office scandal is the will associated with being able to fix something quickly if they really, really have to.
It's amazing how suddenly there's a show and suddenly the government can say, oh, yeah, I can fix this now.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's taken them 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah,
because it's political. There's an election.
Coming up. Exactly.
Let's not get involved. But
no, but do you know what I mean?
But there's been, I guess, there's a number of governments that have been empowered to be able to fix that problem.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not really having a dig at the great, because you could also say the same thing for things like homelessness, for example, and other things. Or people that are starving. To me, it's like it's all about will. If the will's there to do it, as a species, we tend to get it done.
Yeah.
But why does it have to be that kind of scenario?
No, agreed.
Without being overly political. That's fantastic. But it's great to hear that that you guys are looking at ways to do initiatives differently and create inclusivity across your business.
Absolutely.
Okay, so technology. Well, I'm guessing this is going to be quite an interesting one for you, Ross, given your background. Obviously, AI is something that's been quite pertinent in the last 12 months, really. We've got ChatGPT now, which I know a lot of people use. I use it, other people use it in other organisations. How do you see AI linking into facilities management over the next, let's say, 5 years?
I think it's here.
Yeah?
I think it's here. I don't think anyone's doing it, though.
Right.
And I don't want to give out what we're doing. But,
okay. Yeah.
But there is a whole...
Will you tell us about that in the pub?
Yeah, maybe. But but there is AI. I think the way we do facilities management will change radically.
Okay.
And if you look at... And look, it ain't rocket science. You can go and Google and you see. So we take a really basic example, cleaning a washroom.
Yeah.
At the moment, what happens is the cleaner goes every hour, cleans the washroom. Now, Talk have got equipment to say you can come and replace the paper
Talk.
here.
It's good. Yeah.
You can go and do this. So you got sensors. Mm-hmm. So you just take a sensor, you count the number of people using that washroom.
Yeah.
You count the people in, count people out. You go, after 20 cleans, I'll send a cleaner in to clean it.
Yeah.
So your cubicles will be all cleaned at different frequencies.
Yes.
So what you're doing is you're only cleaning when it's like pay as you use.
Yeah, pay as you go. Yeah. Like a gig economy kind of model.
But what you start to discover, and we did this with our own head office. Mm. So we've got sensors in our washrooms. And what we discovered was, and you look at the data, you take women's washroom.
Yeah.
50% of women, they walk into the washroom, use a cubicle.
Yeah.
What are the other 50% doing?
Talking.
Doing their hair, makeup,
right? Okay.
All of that, talking, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're not actually using the.
They're
facilities.
not washing the facilities. Oh, so if you know that data, then you start to design the building differently. Yeah. You start to go, why do they have to go into a washroom, which smells and all of that, to do their makeup or have a chat? Because they might go and have a chat with someone or whatever. Why not create
an alternate space?
An alternative space for them to do that. So it starts to drive the spaces you start to develop and stuff like that. And then that'll start to bring workplace experience. So that's just a simple example of how you can start to use the information to do that. I mean, you can do it now. You can do stuff like you measure temperature, you measure sound, you measure vibration on an asset. Put it onto some equipment.
Yeah,
and you'll go, okay, wake up. What's normal? Assuming the asset's working properly.
Yeah.
So it's got a sound level, it's got a vibration frequency, it's got a temperature on it, right?
Right.
As soon as any of those go out of tolerance, the sensor can go, I'm out of tolerance, and send a message to your BMS to say, go and send to your CAFM system, go and send an engineer to go and have a look at it.
Yeah. Where
AI comes into it is, you put that into AI will go, I've seen this before, and this means this is wrong. I'll send the engineer and tell him this is a problem you should be looking for.
And you need to fix it. So you're saving on downtime. Saving on everything.
The engineer's going with the right tools, the right parts and all that. And that's where machine learning or AI, whatever you want to call it, does it.
So like a self-diagnosis, effectively, in terms of what's wrong. And
it ain't rocket science. It's already there.
Yeah.
The problem is organisations are too big to actually drive that through, whereas we're at a position where we can.
Right. Okay. Oh, really exciting. Look forward to
but then you need to get, okay, the sensors are great, but what technology are you using? How are you going to do that? So I'm very fortunate that I did engineering.
Yeah.
And one of my best friends, he runs a business that creates infrastructure for IoT devices.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right.
He's just come to the UK to launch it because he's looking at doing house meters, all of that type of stuff. So using the same technology platform, but using it in FM.
So like smart meters?
Yeah.
So using that technology in FM?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Oh, that'd be quite interesting. It'd be good to see that at some point.
Yeah, no. We're working on that now, so yeah.
You are? Mm-hmm. Okay, good stuff. So what about in 5 years' time? Do you see it providing anything out of the ordinary that we haven't seen yet?
I think it'll inform how we build our spaces.
Right.
I think it'll help with this whole workflow of Monday and Fridays. That'll, so it'll be a new way of working, if that makes sense.
So the Tuesdays went to the twats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think they'll help with that.
Yeah.
And I think this is where it could help with social value is you might have, so for me is you might have less cleaners because it's hard to find cleaners and all that.
Yeah.
But they might be working smarter, not doing the more horrible jobs or doing the more horrible jobs less. Yeah. And you might be able to go, I can pay you more because technology is doing it. Now that's where that's utopia, isn't it?
Where
the savings you generate doesn't go straight to the bottom line. You go, do you know what, I'm going to invest it back in my people. Yeah. Because actually if you can invest some into your people and the cleaners or the security guards or the maintenance people feel better about it, then actually it creates more well-being for everyone.
Yeah, that symbiotic relationship between technology and people.
So don't bring technology if you just want to do it to save money, because actually it's the wrong reason to do it. You're bringing technologies to make the job easier. Yeah. There's got to be a so what. Don't just put technology for the sake of it.
No, agreed. I mean, the whole workplace has changed anyway, hasn't it? It was already changing prior to COVID, but it's been accelerated significantly because of COVID. And whenever we're speaking to people, how space is used and how that space is developed to entice people in, because obviously, I think it's Generation X, is it X? They want a different kind of environment to come into. Are we on Y? I can't remember. Gen Z? I get confused. Is it Z?
Z,
right, okay.
I think it is,
Yeah, I think it is as well. But they want a different environment to come into.
Yeah, they all. But you got to think, you've got 5 generations, three or 4, 5 decades of people in this workforce, don't you? Yeah. At the moment, all in different.
When you put it like that, that sounds crazy as well, doesn't it? Because you've got to cater for those.
You've got someone like me who traditionally works at a desk. I've never had an office in my life.
Oh, really?
Always been in an open desk. Always. Never had an office. I've always wanted an office, but I've never had one.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could have an office anymore. It's not. I like to be in the mix. In fact, the one thing that I've introduced in our new area that we're working on is the radio's on. And everyone's going, why are you putting the radio on? I go, because actually you need something.
Yeah, I like a bit of music on when I'm writing. Exactly. I have to have a bit.
And we can have a little competition on whose music we're going to play today. Everyone can have whatever. Some people come out with weird music, but well, weird to me. Yeah. But you can't don't match the person to the music.
Yeah,
do you get it? It's not weird. It's just I didn't think you'd like that type of music.
I get that all the time because we always end up talking to people about music, especially on the podcast. It's usually one of those, it just kind of sets the time. What type of music do you like? That kind of thing. So, and some of the things people come out with, you just don't expect.
Yeah.
You really like people who. It's amazing how many Slipknot fans there are out there, isn't it?
Who?
Slipknot.
I think I've heard of them.
Yeah, Slipknot. Yeah. They're a good band. I don't mind Slipknot actually. They're pretty good. To be fair. Okay, that's really interesting. So. As FM evolves, do you think? How bad do you think that the skills gap in the space is? Do you think it's a significant issue, or do you think companies need to do more?
So you're talking about FM or the services?
FM. Let's say both because they kind of feed into each other.
I think the FM skills gap. I think this is where your generations change because the old generation in FM is FM. You know what I mean? It's like, you got your hard services or, going down that road. Yeah. I think modern FM is more than that. Modern FM is not FM, it's workplace. Yeah. What do you need to do in the workplace? So you need someone who's probably more rounded, more customer facing, more agile, able to solve problems, that type of stuff.
Quite dynamic, able to deal with different individuals.
Well, able to spin a number of plates at the same time.
Yeah.
So there is a skill set in that you need to learn that it doesn't actually overburden burden you or overburden the individual or anything like that.
Yeah.
Then from a skill set down, see, it's harder for me to comment because we're a management organisation. We don't self-deliver.
Yeah.
But I do think there is still an art on. I still remember there is an art on how to clean.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just
Agreed.
come and clean. There is an art to it.
Yeah.
There is, you know, I remember working with a lady when she used to run the Lensbury Club for me. And she said, you can smell it's clean when you walk in.
That's true.
You can tell it, you can feel it's clean.
Yeah.
And it's true. When you walk into a building that's clean, you can feel it. You don't have to see it. You can just feel it feels clean. You know, there's something about it that feels clean.
Yeah.
And there's an art to do that and there's an art to deliver that.
Yeah.
And to do that, your team needs to have pride in what they're doing. And she was lucky, but she had her daughters walking for her. So, you know,
there you go.
You know, Maggie Jugs and her daughters, and, you know, they did a great job.
Yeah.
But to get that, I think there's a skill set and there's training and there's, you know, you need to, and I think that becomes harder because I think what happens nowadays is people get a cleaning job and they go and clean.
Yeah.
And not trained how to clean or not.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I see at the moment. I think there's a lot of roles. People go and be a security guard, go and do this, and they just get thrown into this job with no training or little training.
Yeah. How do you think we remedy that then? What do you think the answer is?
I think there needs to be. You almost need BICs have got some standards, don't they, and all that. I think there needs to be some standards you need to create to say this is a bare minimum. Yeah. And maybe having those bare minimums contractually, maybe because it forces people to do it. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, and to be fair, because we don't self-deliver, it's not something that I've really pondered about. Because I'm more concerned about how do I get my FM managers, of course, competent and in the right levels and stuff like that. Yeah.
So where do you think, like going back to sort of young people coming into the industry, where do you think because it's clearly not it's clearly not school or academia where they would learn those skills to be well-rounded and that kind of modern FM. Well, if a young person was looking to get some skills or to garner some skills which would help them in this pathway, where do you think they could get them?
I think it's just experience.
Yeah,
it's you've got to have an open mind and you've got to accept that you're not going to get it right.
So
and
do what you did. Spend that year with your head spinning.
Yeah, well, and maybe not to that, but you do need to get experience. I've got it's interesting you say that. So I've got a 22-year-old son. Right. So he's doing civil engineering. And he did an industrial year last year on a construction site up in Birmingham. Yeah. And I thought, oh my goodness, he lives in a bubble. Yeah. He's lived in a bubble. I would say he lives in a bubble compared to because how his life has been. Yeah. And now he's moving out. So he's at uni. He did 6 months in uni, then COVID came. So he came and lived from home and went back a little bit. Yeah. But now he's going to go and live by himself. All by himself at 22, and he's going to a construction site.
Fair play to him.
Yeah, no. Okay, so you got to have. Firstly, you got to say, "I can do it," and he did. You probably won't admit it, but he's a people person. He needs people around him, so you struggle with that. Doing that, right? Especially in COVID. So him and his mum were close. He'd ring his mum every day, all of that type of stuff. Never rang me because I'm not like that. But his mum, but he worked out what did. Yeah. But actually, he went. For me, what I think I saw from him is he wanted to learn. Yeah. And he wanted to know why or how and do that. So the story he told me was, so he's been put in charge in this concrete pour. Right. So the trucks are coming in. You can imagine truck drivers with their concrete. Yeah. And he's been told this is what the consistency needs to look like. This is what the concrete needs to be. This is for roads, bridges. So he's got to be solid. So you come in, typical snotty engineer. You're not coming in. Yeah. I go, why? He goes, it's too wet. So traditionally they go away and they wait and comes back again. You're not coming in. Why? Too dry or whatever the word is. I don't know what it is. Yeah. Okay, John, look, you're going to get yourself. Someone's going to take you out back and
give you a kicking.
Yeah, exactly. You can't tell. And he goes, there's a whole queue of them and I wouldn't let them in. Oh, but he was strong to his own conviction. He knew what he had to do. So I think that's the thing is you've got to be true to yourself. You've got to be true to yourself, open-minded and do that. He did that, fine. And actually over time he built himself a bit of a relationship with people, respect, and that's what you build because you're standing. Don't be a follower. Do listen, learn, and do what it was.
It kind of develops that reputation.
Yeah, you develop yourself as an individual, don't you? That you can actually think for yourself. That you don't cave in. And, you know, some of these things are tough. And you can imagine some of these people are saying, I'm going to pour it anyway. No, you're not. And it's hard. But then use your organisation to support you. But he had good support from his line manager and all that. To say, no, he's right. You're doing that. Yeah. The next story he had was, so then he said, okay, now you're going to organise how much concrete you need.
Aye.
Yeah. So he's gone and done all the calculations. And he rang me. He goes, Dad, I've worked it all out. We know we need a truck, 2 trucks or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, they come and pour. Rings me the next day and he goes, Dad, no one ever told me that they take samples. So when they take concrete, they take samples to see what how the concrete is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he goes, I was short on my pour.
No.
So they had to try and get another truck to come in to finish, because the pour's all got to be at one go and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he copped it on the chin. He said, I'll never forget that again now, because you learn.
You do.
You don't get it right, but he learned. And he said the next day the project director goes, who did that? As a joke. Do you know what I mean? Because they knew it's the first time you learn and all that. So you've got to be, I think if you're coming in, learn, be confident in yourself, but also be able to admit if you made a mistake. And actually, you do need the right people around you to support you in that.
But that's quite good as well, because I think there's 2 points there. You know, you've got the element whereby you're more than happy to learn from your mistakes. But then you've also got the company that's supporting you and allowing you to make those. Because sometimes that's not always the case.
No one's perfect, are they? No one's perfect. Show me someone who's never made a mistake in their career.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm not. It's true. So everyone makes mistakes. I think my first job at this organisation, he said everyone can make plenty of mistakes. Just don't make the same mistake twice.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And maybe you do sometimes make the same mistake twice because you didn't see it coming from a different angle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where experience comes. So
agreed.
You do make mistakes. You do, but you got to learn from them and pick yourself back up and and be confident in your own ability.
Without a doubt. Sounds like he's an apple from the old tree by the sounds of it.
I don't know about that.
Hey?
He's better than me.
He'll be telling you what you to do. You want to do in 10 years.
He's way better than me. Absolutely. He's a lot more polished and all that than I am.
Oh, fantastic.
But it's interesting because I've got a daughter and she's the opposite. She's the annoying one that goes, why?
Yeah.
Why? She's not as confident. Yeah. But she will want to know why.
Wants to really understand
it all.
Right.
And she's brain. She's, because of that. But for me is people are different. So be strong. Realize the type of person you are and be yourself. That's the other thing. You're not going to don't try and be someone else. So,
exactly.
If your boss has got certain characteristics, don't try and replicate them.
No.
If you're not like that. Be true to yourself. And I've got 2 kids, totally different. And they'll both be, I think they'll be successful in their own ways because they are different in their own ways and stuff like that. And
Yeah, I've got 3, all different. Hard work, but all different.
No, they are hard work. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. I've got one more question for you, actually. You kind of touched on it earlier in terms of network. Okay. So how important do you think a network as you go through your career in FM is, and how would you go about developing that network if you were starting out?
So it's interesting. So the other night I was fortunate to go to an event in New York, a Cornet event, which was a networking event.
Right.
And I met this guy, 24, just out. And I'm terrible at networking.
Yeah.
I don't like going to events like that. I don't like small chats. It's not me.
To be fair, the first time we ever met, Ross, was at a networking event at your building.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks before the first lockdown.
Oh, right. I know which one you're talking about, which event it was, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not very great at networking and chatting and stuff like that. I'm okay to have a discussion with someone. So so this guy was there, we started chatting.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't need what I call is fake networking.
Yeah.
Where you go up to someone and you're looking at their badge, which people would do last week to me.
Yeah.
And they'll look at my badge. I'll just take my badge out because it's in my thing.
Yeah.
And then they'll move on. Because they didn't know who the business was or
and
whatever.
They don't know who you are.
And they don't know who I am.
Yeah.
And it's purposely like that.
Yeah.
And yet this kid sat next to me. We were talking and we spoke for a while. And for me, I said to him, my advice would be is just listen and make you don't know who the right people are. You don't know who the wrong people are.
No, you never know who you're meeting.
You don't know who you're meeting, and you don't know when you'll need them.
Yes.
So for me, you're better off going to an event or something like that, meeting 2 people and actually keeping in touch with those 2 people than meeting 50 and never seeing any of them again.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it could be It could, and people like this, they look at it and they go, you're a supplier. A lot of these events, you've got suppliers going, are you an end user or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're an end user or a supplier, because a supplier can help you as much as this guy I met, he was selling, what was he selling? Shows how good I listened. He's selling furniture. What am I saying? He was selling furniture.
Right, okay.
So he's selling furniture. And he came from a wellbeing background. So his degree was in wellbeing, and he thought I'd get into furniture sales to do wellbeing, making sure, it's great. And you're thinking, what I didn't tell him is I might be looking for an office in New York and I might need some furniture.
Yeah.
But because he spent the time, he connected to me on LinkedIn. I might go and talk to him about it and go, here you go, here's an opportunity for you.
Yeah, why not?
You never know, do you?
No, you don't know. I mean, I think networking is very important. I think, getting to know people is I think more important. And I've kind of noticed this as, whenever you start your career, you make all your mistakes in the first 10 years, don't you? And you get things wrong. But as my career's gone on, those people that I've met over the years, I've spoken to for one reason or another, whether it's because I've met someone that has an opportunity that I can then pass on to them, or alternatively, they've got an opportunity that they could pass on to me, and then that network just keeps building, So I just kind of think, be nice to everybody.
The thing is, and I learned really early on, and that's probably because I went between the UK and Australia, is it's a small world. And so never burn bridges. No. Never... and I've probably fallen out with people in the past, but I always will go back and say, actually, it's not worth it. Do you know what I mean? You do sometimes. You do burn. I don't think I've burned bridges. I still talk to people. Yeah. You still like you. I got a problem. I know someone who can help. Yeah. Like I said previously, and I think that's what the network's all about. Yeah. Whereas I think there are people out there who think I've got to go to an event. I've got to meet 50 people. Because I joke with them. I go, who do you want to meet tonight? Where's your list? Yeah. Because what are you talking about? I go, I bet you had a sales meeting before you all came here. Yeah. And you break down the list into names, and you were targeted to meet these people here. Yeah. Because yeah. I go, you'll get nowhere because it's too obvious. Yeah. People don't want to. People don't want to deal with that.
The thing is, I don't think people want to get hassled from a sales perspective. I mean, to be fair, when I network, I never really mention. So I'm just interested in people. What do you do? Who do you do it with? Got any kids? What football team do you support? Yeah. Just because I'm actually interested in getting to know that person as a person.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because then, naturally, I think if you do that, if there's an opportunity for business further down the road, it kind of comes anyway. Mm-hmm. But then you're getting to know someone, getting a telephone number again, texting.
No, exactly, yeah. And like you say, you never know when one of these people pops up. The amount of people that pop up in, like today, I heard a name that I haven't spoken to someone for about 7-8 years. Yeah. And you go, I know that person. Yeah. And I could drop them a note and hopefully they'll go, yeah, okay, you're a decent person, I'll come in and chat with you. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So you just don't.
You don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Know. Okay. Well, listen, that kind of brings us to the end of the podcast, Ross.
Hope it's all right.
It's really good. How did you find it? Did you enjoy it?
I did. I mean, it's a conversation, but I don't know if anyone would want to listen to it.
No, I think they will. It was a really interesting chat. I think you made some absolutely fantastic points. And I think that, young people coming into the industry will find it incredibly interesting and hopefully help them on their pathway.
And look, because I've got kids, I know how hard it is to get into industry, no matter what industry. So always happy to help, always happy to take people's views.
Well, there you go, guys. If you want to reach out to Ross Abbate on LinkedIn, feel free.
You'd be surprised how many people do reach out, and I do make a point to answer.
Yeah, actually, to be fair, you do. I will give you that. I think I messaged you once on LinkedIn, and you did come back.
I do. Yeah. The ones that I find, I tell you what I find the most frustrating. So I'll answer everyone on LinkedIn. Yeah. But I won't, maybe not cold calls where people, so I'll get someone to send me something on, you do construction. I go, no, I don't do construction. So look at who be a bit
that irritates me somewhat. Like recruiters or something like that. When they send you, I've got this great security guy, and I'm like, I'm in cleaning.
Yeah, no, exactly. But the other one is, so we advertise on LinkedIn for our roles that are in our business. Yeah. And it says, please apply here. Yeah. And someone will apply to me. Yeah. And you're going, well, it's really clear. You follow apply to the role, follow the instruction. Yeah. So I will go, please go back to game. I can't do anything because I don't recruit. It's there are people behind. I do recruit, but what I'm saying is you've got to follow a process and stuff.
Yeah,
like
of course. Yeah.
So I find that they're the ones that are probably less likely to reply. But if someone says, I need this or whatever, I absolutely will.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Well, listen, if anybody's looking for a graduate scheme in FM around September of next year,
Well, we're looking now, so reach out now.
Yeah, reach out now, get some applications in. But listen, Ross, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us today. And to all of our listeners out there, another fantastic episode with some really great points from Ross in terms of how you can develop your career in FM and how you can also get into it. So thank you very much for listening and take care. Bye-bye.